Kind of like JFK's head. Like I'm a
And
JFK
we're live, everybody.
I'm a JFK truther. I don't believe he was actually shot. I think his head just did that.
I adhere to the theory Red Dwarf posits that due to time shenanigans, JFK shot JFK on the grassy knoll.
Welcome to the.
I'm kind of retarded.
I don't know that we're actually streaming on Kick.
We're not. I just got a warning that it's not working.
Womp womp.
Sad.
So, anyways, welcome everybody to the Church of Failure.
Yeah.
Where nothing works and the points don't matter. That's right. Just like Ayrton's love life, it's entirely theoretical.
Hey. It's only like half theoretical. It doesn't it only exists when you look at it.
You mean there's maybe there's a waiting period before you can stream after you make your account?
There's a waiting period before Ayrton can have a love life.
For that too.
So, I mean, can we just set it up?
I'm out of here. It's relapse time.
So I guess we pull this over onto Rumble.
We're already on there too.
Yeah, we're on Rumble and YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you think Larry, how long have you known me that you think that I would plan on a show where we're having a guest to just stream onto a platform that we've never streamed on before?
Look, the dark times are coming because I've been talking about starting up a gaming podcast for the better part of like 3 or 4 years, and I have finally re-downloaded OBS and started thinking about it seriously.
Why would you use OBS when you could
is
you could
dead?
just do StreamYard?
Because my plan is not a live stream podcast. My plan is actually to prepare and upload videos as well.
You can do that through StreamYard.
You can do that through StreamYard much easier.
I get that, but I have to do comparative work. I got to learn the process.
I'm waiting for Uncle Elon to open up the streaming potential on Twitter.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by a guest.
And Rune, if you give me...
Oh my God.
Yeah, we are.
If I give you Church's $32, what?
Jesus Christ.
I was going to say,
we have a guest who hasn't said anything yet. You all shut the fuck up.
You guys are good.
And I was just going to say, if Rune were to do StreamYards and give me access to the back end, I can pull the videos off of that and I can edit them down into an actual video.
Look, we are fucking professionals here.
Obviously not. Anyway, Tyler, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me. My name's Tyler, and I run the YouTube channel Drawn Talk and one other channel that's currently being created right now.
I appreciate the thanks, but you might want to wait till the end of the show to thank us.
That's true. I'll wait till the end.
Make your decision.
Thanks, guys.
I mean, I appreciate that you want to thank us now and regret later.
Yeah, you see?
Well, he's friends with Larry, so I mean, he's obviously a horrible human being.
But yeah, I make comics and I talk about problematic things in the comic book community, like marketing and business.
Well, that's one of the reasons that you actually drew my eye. Like I pay attention to what Larry pays attention to because Larry's probably the smartest person on this show.
That's
probably he definitely is.
How dare you address the two things that are most complicated that most artist creators can't fucking do?
Number one, fuck you, Ayrton. Number two, Rune, you're absolutely right. And number three, Larry, you might be the smartest person here. I don't know because, we haven't talked enough to Tyler. He might outdo you. But anyway, I pay attention to what Larry does. And, he normally is into some interesting topics and debates with people. And I saw probably about 2 weeks ago with the comics broke me hashtag. This is where I first encountered you as a person. And you had some very poignant things to say, and I wasn't sure to whom they've been addressed to. I assume at this point, indie professionals that are crying because of the lot that they, rounded themselves into.
Yeah, it was. That it was a hashtag that went viral in the comic sphere because at first it started off with that there was an artist who passed away, and so people started using that hashtag. Then the hashtag evolved into, hey, people are overworked in the industry and publishers aren't paying them like on time. And then it evolved to, hey, I took a really bad deal and now I'm poor, which is when I saw it. And then the fourth iteration of the hashtag was, hey, here's my book, and people started using it to promote their comics. And so that hashtag was just filled with a bunch of, at least in that third stage, it was filled with a bunch of people who were crying, and they're crying. They're like, hey, like, I work long hours. I wanted to draw Batman. I only took a $30 page rate. I deserve more. And it's like, no, you don't. You took a bad deal. If you go to McDonald's and they offer you $12 an hour, are you going to say, well, I think I deserve 40? They're going to be like, get lost. And so that was my whole shtick with it.
Mhm.
It was like, take accountability for your actions. And if you want to avoid these problems, learn business and marketing, and then you don't have to deal with this.
Obviously, obviously,
and
none of these people that were using this hashtag in that regard have ever worked a real job.
and
I was telling the boys in private chat this week. In the last 2 weeks, I've probably cleared almost 120 hours at work or traveling to and from work.
Well,
I was just happy, that I got to work and got to feed my family this week again.
Well, Ayrton and I have had some knockdown, drag out fights about
those
the
are fun.
idea of they're great about the idea of getting paid a fair wage for fair labor, right? And because nobody can deny that it favors the side of business, the side of bosses, to stiff you if they can. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that labor, the people on the production side of things, aren't also a bunch of whiny little girls who are always trying to get more for doing less.
I'll have to disagree with you on that because you can get paid based off of merit, but which is what an art industry is going to do. But you have to recognize, where's the money going to come from? The money has to come from the sales, and
Right.
so if your book isn't selling, you can't demand more money. In fact, I'm sure that most of these books actually come at a loss.
I mean,
to your company or a break even.
You are 100% right, and that indeed is the. Before we even get into indies, which is its own creature, that is the problem with the big two that led to our current kerfuffle, is people saying, wait a minute, this doesn't work economically. If you make shit and we tell you it's shit and you keep making shit, why then do you expect us to buy it? Why don't you just make the things we want? And then being told the things we want make us a bunch of assholes.
And also to your $30 Batman page rate example, the reason, you peel away all of the emotional baggage, the reason you take a $30 Batman page rate is you can then go to an Image Comics or a Valiant Comics and say, hey, I did Batman, so you need to pay me an extra 10 to 15% more, because somebody who's going to come on to buy your comic will say, hey, I remember that guy. He did that Batman run 2 years ago.
Well, you hope they remember you. I mean, you have someone like Sean Gordon Murphy, and he's leaving DC Comics, and he says, "I don't want." He goes, "You guys don't pay me enough." Keep in mind, his page rate's around $300 a page. I'm thinking, I'm rounding up because I remember hearing that Greg Capullo's page rate was around $400 to $500.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm gonna. I have to speak in poor for a minute. Average book is 20 pages.
Yeah.
300 pages. $300 a page.
Yeah.
So 300
but he's
times
not drawing
20?
the whole book. Sean Gordon Murphy next to never does the full book.
Because
Like
again,
he's always got another artist that fills in, like when he just doesn't want to.
Speaking in poor and in debt, my brain instantly goes, "What the fuck do you mean you don't get paid enough?"
Well,
It sounds like your big problem is you're living in fucking LA at that point.
no. Hold on, let me finish the story because it's not
Okay.
coming out of what you're thinking it's going.
Okay.
Anyways, because his books always sell. His books always sell to mass audiences, and so he goes, "Listen, I know how much you guys pay all these other artists." And the editor's like, okay, fine. He's like, I don't want to work for DC Comics anymore. And his editor goes, fine. What do I got to do to get you to stay? What's your FU list? And he goes, my FU list is this. And he demands just massive payment, massive royalties. And then he says, and I want my own Batman universe. And he goes, it was such an FU to DC Comics that he was shocked that they said yes. So he got a massive bump of his page rate. He got extra royalties. He got an advance, and he got his own Batman universe. That's why he has Batman the White Knight. And those books are always in the number 1 slots. And so it's one of those things where he knew he was worth it. But if you have a Vita Ayala who's saying, hey, I deserve a pay raise, they're going to go, we're not even breaking even on these comics. You are not getting a pay raise. And that's the difference. Is one artist is really smart with their money, knows their worth, but also can produce sales, and the other cannot produce sales and it's hurting the company, and yet they still hire them and then it's complaining about no money.
Well, one of those things I'm sorry.
And I was saying, and with the Vita Ayala, they also come with a package of other talents that are all using the same agents for negotiating deals. And they're also connected to agents for television movie situations. So it's sort of a runaround of the company to say, hey, listen, you could hire this person who will be eventually responsible for your next multimedia property that'll make your corporate bosses happier with you. It's toxic all the way down.
Well, I was going to say the other...
well, just to sneak in like a real world situation, because for most people looking at publishing a comic book and creating a comic book within Marvel or DC it's just unrealistic.
Name is RuneKnight.
Right? So to put it into perspective, you've always seen that one person who's been doing the job for like 2-3 weeks, and then they come in and they're like, I ain't doing this shit. I deserve a raise. And then, they do this with the person that's been there for 30 years and is exemplar at their job and should be running shit, but is still a low-level peon, just got a 10-cent raise because they threatened to quit. It's just, there's certain things like you commit something with no experience and you over-exaggerate your worth a lot. And if there's no money in the company, like so with DC right now, there's no money to try and keep people like that, even if they are the rookie of the year and, potentially the best talent that's going to come out of the new generation. You don't have the money to invest in them, and you just let them walk because they're just going to make problems.
Well, another facet, and one that I don't think gets enough talk about, is a lot of people like to glibly point out that manga is defeating Western comics in the market, and they point at the biggest sellers, right? The couple of super manga that win. But what they don't
make your point, but manga isn't what people make it out to be.
I know, but what I think is actually more pertinent is that manga is a wider range of genres and subjects, so there's a lot of things for someone's tastes. Right? If we look at Western comics, it's not just that it's all capes, because that's not the problem, right? That's just a facet of the problem. And we boil it down by sellers, right? It's literally kind of like movies where name comics make sales. How many Batmans are in the top 10, top 20? Not.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Right, not one Batman, but like 5 different Batman books. Now, that's because Batman's great. I'm not saying Batman's bad, but I'm saying there's not a lot of choice available among the Western offerings. They're all kind of the same offering because they know that sales. They don't want to take any kind of risk.
I disagree with that. There's plenty of cake out there for everybody. You've got Image, you've got shit like you got G.I. Joe, you've got Dark Horse constantly putting out interesting off the wall shit. You've got Marvel, you've got DC.
But what are we always saying? What are you always saying in indies? Why are you messing with the comic characters that are good? Why don't you make your new and different characters? Because we have to admit, new and different characters don't sell.
Well, sometimes they do. I mean, you know,
they do. That's why it's called a business, and that's why you got to take some risks.
To say new and different characters don't sell is a misnomer. I think the problem that most people encounter is that they either draw their homage entirely too closely to the source material, or they don't do it smart. Like what the example that comes to mind is Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane prototyped Spawn in his run on Spider-Man with Marvel Comics.
Right.
He prototyped the art style. He prototyped the storytelling. He prototyped the idea of audiences accepting a sentient suit on a character that was morally maligned.
It's not a misnomer that you or I believe in, but it is absolutely a misnomer that the suits at the top believe in, who are subject to the will of the shareholders and investors.
Well, I think you're kind of missing the point, though. Like, there's plenty to pick from, and there's plenty of cake for everybody to be eating, and that actually is a perfect segue to talk about our guest current project. We'll do this several times throughout the show.
You don't even have to. You don't have to promo my book. You can do it.
We're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna do it anyway.
We're gonna do it. You're gonna like it.
Unless you don't want us to. We cannot.
You totally can. I will never say no to promo.
Okay. So on Kickstarter, there is a new project by our guest here, Tyler, or at Draw and Talk, called Super Plumber Sisters, and
I've seen
the definition of cheesecake. And I don't hate it.
I have not been to the Kickstarter, but I have seen this mentioned, like in passing, in my twit wanderings, and I was always like, oh, that doesn't look half bad. I'm sure that appeals to somebody, and then just moved on.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's I mean, obviously you can see where we got some inspiration. Yeah, so
I'm getting a Metroid feel.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I was getting a Samus feel.
See, I was getting the Barbie sisters from Playboy, so I mean, I don't know.
That's funny. To be fair, I have another property called the Girl with the Megafist, and she's definitely.
I've heard of that one too.
She's definitely when people go, oh, she kind of looks like Samus. I go, yeah. Well, I took a picture of Samus and I just threw some Megafists on there and started playing around with the design, and yeah, it's from Samus. But
she has some powerful plot, and her assets aren't half bad either. It's okay.
No, they're not. Yeah, it's so with this book in particular, it's been reworked several times. I created, it's about two sisters who solve supernatural crimes around their city, and when I first created it, it was supposed to be about two brothers, kind of like the show Supernatural, and had that dark tone feel. And every time I showed it to like my creator friends, they'd always be like, wow, like this sucks. And I would go, okay, fine. And I would try to like rework the idea, and then they go, wow, like this still sucks. And so finally I just threw it in the back burner, and I created a comic earlier this year called My Sexy Witch Academia. And it was an experiment comic, and I was like, can I fund a Kickstarter without telling anyone? And I did it in 24 hours, and then I let it go for a week, and then finally I told people like, hey, I funded a Kickstarter in a week, and I did it in 24 hours and didn't tell anyone these are my findings. And someone was like, oh yeah, obviously that worked, like you're so stupid, like you could do it with gender bent Mario and you would have done it, you're stupid. And I was so angry that person said that thing, that I went, fuck you, I'm going to figure out a way to do gender swap Mario. And then I was like, oh my gosh, what if I turned that Supernatural brothers into two sisters, brine it up, add some anime elements, some cool shonen battle stuff. And then that's how I came up with Super Plumber Sisters. What's interesting about this title is it says sexy action comic, and I have like a nude cover and a sexy cover. No one bought any of the sexy covers. No one cares about the sexy covers, and so I was kind of wrong about the demographic, the cheesecake demographic, and I think they got pissed off as well because I have those covers, but in the interiors it says that there's no nudity. And so they're like, oh, then what's the point? But this is doing well.
I can see that it's doing well with a grand total of $13,461 as of the showing of this recording.
Yeah, it's my best Kickstarter so far.
Also, my professionalism is going to drop off drastically as I continue drinking, but I did show up sober, so fuck everybody here except our guest.
I'm out of here. It's relapse time.
So that clip come from a special show we did where we did a live table read of the Powerpuff Girls pilot episode.
Leaked script, yes.
Gross.
No, it was amazing. But Bubbles was played by our very own Alex Jones.
Yeah,
Hey, look.
I couldn't talk right for like 3 days after doing that whole show.
That table read was as close as that show ever got to actually being filmed.
That's true.
I do think it's a work of art, in my opinion.
Just let that sink in, WB.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, yes.
Dillard Draws was
Dillard
in that
episode. Hey, John.
But no, I saw.
And by the way, I spent like 2 hours. I spent like 2 hours editing all these sound clips, so I'm using every single one that I made tonight. I'm just giving you guys fair warning.
Yeah, we assumed. Ayrton has. I don't know why I'm actually here. Like, I think because I started doing this, but everyone else here actually has more to contribute than I do most of the time. Except I have a near encyclopedic knowledge of comics from 1937 to.
I love your knowledge. Your knowledge is deep and worldly.
Yes, fuck you.
Wait.
To about
you call this contributing?
What does the fuck say?
Yeah,
like, is that?
You're literally our gator. Anyway, we will discuss Super Plumber Sisters throughout the show as it comes up. But
awesome.
So when the whole comics, I was actually going to segue into the really spicy tea portion of his contribution to the Comics Broke Me story, because that's
all right.
That's the real sexy part.
Okay.
People started canceling you at some point in that whole conversation.
Yes, yeah. I wanted to touch on that. When you say people started canceling you, and I'm not disregarding that, I'm just curious as to how you meant that you were being canceled at the time, because I didn't follow it until you mentioned something about it. So I'm wondering, like, did you actually have deals and stuff that fell through because of this?
I got kicked off my own book by a publisher.
What?
So,
Jesus Christ.
So I'll explain.
All my fucking angry buttons. Continue.
So basically, my tweet went viral, and it just went everywhere. I was published by a publisher named Band of Bards. They're a small independent publisher.
When you say your tweet, are you talking about your tweet talking to this artist that we were previously discussing?
It's the comic, about the comic. I said reading all the Comics Broke Me tweets makes me realize that creatives are terrible at business and marketing and accountability. No one put a gun to your head to take a $25 page rate. Do better. Here's how. That was basically my tweet.
And you got canceled for advice, basically non-targeted advice.
So it was a couple things, actually. It was the advice. And then it was the fact that I didn't apologize, and that was actually the crazy
apologize
thing.
to these people.
Wait! Why the fuck? Pardon my French. Why the fuck should you have to apologize for what are true facts?
So, I mean, he also made a comment about he would have told Jack Kirby to his face, "Listen, man, you took a bad deal. That's on you."
See, here's the thing.
Jack Kirby did take a bad deal.
As I'm sure you know,
he let
Tyler,
Stan Lee sign his name to all of his comic books.
Larry's working on a book, or has worked on books. Ayrton does music. Church does church stuff. I tried to get a book going.
You mean Church is a graphic designer?
Yeah, he does church stuff. He's
well,
also
actually,
a
I'm a
he's also
printer
a-
now, but I have
Yeah.
20 years of graphic design
But-
experience.
Oh, okay.
I tried to get a book off the ground, and it failed. Right, but I have never made any bones about the cause of the failure. The cause of the failure was a catastrophic mismanagement of marketing. We didn't know what we were doing. It's on us, 100%. Right? I have never lied about that, and I cannot imagine. I mean, it's obviously true, but I just cannot imagine indie creators that are so fragile and so full of themselves. It's like, you can't tell me the horrible truth that I suck at marketing. I'm a creative. Everything I do is God touched. It's like, until your name is fucking Jack Kirby and you can do no wrong, and Jack Kirby did plenty of wrong, don't give me that bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, it was yeah, I mean, it just spiraled. I mean, it was mainstream pros, it was a bunch of indies, and what's I mean, yeah, so I mean, the publisher said, hey, they didn't like that, like, I was responding to people, but I was responding very, like, I would just go like, am I wrong? I mean, these are the kind of comments that I was getting. Fuck you, kill yourself. I hope your hand gets cut off.
Jesus
You know, you know what's also crazy is that there was those are the kind of stuff that I was getting. And then I'm part of Band of Bards, which is a publishing, and one of the creators tags Band of Bards and goes, hey Band of Bards, how come I'm ashamed to share a publisher with this guy. And then they tagged the writer of my book. My book's called Coins of Judas, and I co-created it with a guy named Travis. And then they go, hey Travis, why are you okay with this? And keep in mind, while this was all happening, people started going into my Facebook and then finding old posts from like 9 years ago. So they, because I don't talk any politics on my YouTube, I don't talk politics on my Twitter. So they found my personal Facebook, found posts from like 9 years ago, and they go, oh, he voted for Trump. And then they found an old comment where I said, hey, I don't vet who I buy to. If you're a Republican, I sell to you. If you're a Democrat, I sell to you. If you're liberal, CG, Nazi, I don't care. I sell to everyone because I don't vet my characters.
Would you sell to Dillard though?
I would. I love John Dillard.
Oh,
So that's,
I mean,
which he calls you out, Rune. He says,
Oh, no,
20
I saw
plus years of graphic design, pillar of the community equals stupid church stuff.
I mean, are you saying it's not stupid church stuff? Because I'm thinking it's stupid church stuff.
oh man. So then
fuck you, Rune.
So then it gets around that, like, so then people look at that screenshot and they go, oh, he's a Nazi. So then that starts going around that, oh, Tyler's a Nazi.
I did not see that coming.
And so basically the publisher calls me and goes, hey, basically they said, hey, we're canceling your book, Coins of Judas, entirely. And keep in mind, we were their number one selling book. We sold thousands of copies. The next one, the second place one sold like some thousand, and third place sold maybe 100 copies. So like we were like the best book, and they said, hey, we're canceling your title because you are bad for the brand. And so
you were probably the only title that probably made them any money.
Yes. And here, I'm going to send it in the private chat. This is the guy who this is the artwork of the guy who tagged us. His book came out this month, who was like, hey, fuck you, fuck them for letting you. So the black and white art.
Am I pulling this up on screen?
It's up to you.
Okay, so yes.
The black and white art is his, and then the colored art is mine from the book that got canceled. And so basically what happened is I called the writer and I said, hey, I understand they're canceling the book, which means that the whole creative team isn't going to get paid because they were paying us. And I said, hey, I will leave the book. Like, I will give you full ownership of the book that I co-created because I feel bad that you're experiencing this, just so that you guys can keep getting paid and keep the book going. And so they talked behind the scenes. They made the agreement. They said, okay, they said that they'll keep the book running and they'll pay everyone and keep everyone paid as long as you leave and give up your ownership. So That's what I did in order to keep my friends getting paid. But it fucking sucked because I drew an entire issue that I and I didn't sign the contract, so that's my fault. But yeah, I lost my publishing contract, which my book was in Diamond, my book was in Stories, it was their bestseller, and you know what sucked is the publisher, when they called me, they said, hey, we don't like how everyone's behavior was worse than yours. Like they said that. They said everyone's behavior was worse than yours. We're going to deal with that. And yeah, I'm the one that got canceled. Anyways, and then like the guy who had the worst behavior, his book gets to come out this month. I mean, if you guys saw the art that I posted in the DM group, that black and white art.
I just sent it over to the main DM. I forgot we didn't have you on the main DM yet.
Oh, okay. That's the artwork that they chose over like my artwork, and which is fine, but it just goes back to what my tweet is, because I know that the company's in financial drought, and so now then they're gonna go, man, we're really struggling as a company. It's like, well, yeah, you canceled your best book. Yeah, so that's the artwork of the guy who was like,
Man,
hey,
Brie Larson really looks like she's retaining water in these panels. What the fuck?
Well,
Man.
not that I have any doubt of your artistic credibility, because I've seen production and stuff. But if you want to throw up something for comparison for those in the audience who haven't, just so they know how deep the fuckery is, I think we should do that. Perhaps
Okay.
something from Super Plumber Girls.
Oh well, I put up the other image.
I didn't
fantastic.
draw. I didn't draw Super Plumber Girls, unfortunately.
Okay.
I paid someone to. But you know what? Also, so anyways, I lose my book. Blah blah blah. But then last week, what happened is I still had some residual people still pissed off at me, and I had 2 crazy people message every artist I'd ever worked with, and just interrogated all these people. And then 4 of them were just like, hey, like, this person's giving us drama because of you. We like working with you, but we don't like the drama, so we're not working with you anymore.
I'm sorry, those people lacked good quality character. I had
no. I don't blame the artists. I don't blame the artists. These guys, yeah.
Did they say this to you specifically when they fired you?
I'm kind of retarded.
No. The publisher.
Yeah, I appreciate that Larry was here to say what we were all thinking in a more diplomatic way, because that really does piss me off, especially when at the crux of your story is like, okay, you can screw me as much as you want, but don't screw my people, right?
Yes.
That's how it. I'm not saying that like you getting punted is how it should be, but people in the industry should try to save the book and save the talent when there's a problem. The fact that like books are getting made that are both bad and they're getting canned because people are getting kicked out, that's no bueno. That's bad. More comics good, less comics bad. It's not rocket science.
Well, and the whole hashtag comics broke me was about people not getting paid. And what did they do? They try to cancel a bunch of people's payment. Right. And so it was, it's just disgusting. And then not just that, it was, you had some other crazy people messaging all my artists, and like, I don't blame my artists. The artists that I work with aren't public people. Like, I'll see them post art randomly, and then I'll go, hey, have you ever drawn a comic or do stuff? And they go, no, I'm not really into that. And then after that, I'll convince them, and then we work together, and I pay them, and they love it. We have a great relationship. Like, most of the time, if I hire an artist, they've only ever worked with me. And so these people have just private personal Facebooks, and these crazy people found their personal Facebooks and harassing them. And they're like, hey, listen, like, I just want to draw, and I don't want any of this drama, so I don't want to work with you anymore. I'm not mad at those artists for saying that, because I totally understand. I'm mad at the people who went out of their way those are just the people who said not to work with me. There were like 4 other artists that they just destroyed my relationships with. I lost thousands of dollars last week just trying to like shut up artists because I didn't need any more like heat on me.
Here's
true.
something. Hold on.
Okay.
Here's something that everyone can do. If you're listening to this either live or on the replay, check the description on YouTube and Rumble. You'll find the links to Tyler's Patreon and his book, Super Plumber Girls, live on Kickstarter, that has been doing amazingly well. And you can support him via either one or both of those platforms. And basically tell these people who take a different opinion.
Church, you
shove it up
connected
their
to
ass.
Rune's old mic again.
Yeah, I was
God
gonna
damn
say, are you standing in a snowstorm there? While Church resolves his problem though, the thing is that I can, like you say, you're not mad at the people who had to break with you because they had to preserve their careers, and you're mad at the people who were stirring shit. I get that. But the other thing you said is really true. You were talking about people who aren't in comics, who, given the chance on comics, really enjoy it, and kind of how you make instant friendships. When I was making my comic, we went out, we tried to find artists, and the two things we found are, one, people in the international community are way happier to work for reasonable rates than Americans. That's an entirely different story. But
Well, that's
also,
the exchange rate.
but also, we found that some people who are working for commission and like who have to do adult work were really, really grateful for the opportunity to be like, wait, you want me to do a comic book? And you want me to like have guys punching guys, and I can like focus on actual anatomy and not just like tits? Okay, cool. You know, just,
But tits are great.
tits are great, but artists sometimes like to be artists and not pornographers. It's a thing.
It is.
It
Mhm,
is.
mhm.
Oh.
Is that better?
I church.
But in my personal
Is that
opinion,
better?
Tyler, yes, it is.
Okay.
In my personal opinion, Tyler, your stories and Valerie Diorazio's were the two that were actually the most interesting that came out of the comics. Broke me because Valerie spilled some tea about her experiences in the big two companies, and on the flip side, she worked marketing positions at major TV networks, so she got to talk about how the marketing from the big companies is also toxic and feeds into the toxic network of parasocial relationships.
Well, and that's one of the things we discuss on the show a lot is how marketing in comics has completely fell apart. And part of that is because of the evolution of technology. A lot of industries have a hard time coping with the idea that, hey, the internet's replacing our bread and butter. Talk shows kind of turned into podcasts. That was a simple enough transition, but the market share is so much slimmer now that you have to be a huge name, or you have to be happy living off a subsidiary, or not a subsidiary, but a substantial smaller amount than what you were used to when you had basically control of the market. Card games, collectible card games. I'm a fan of the Magic the Gathering. They have moved to a digital platform, but they're suffering in sales because people don't want to pay for a product they can't touch. And that's the same problem that I feel like digital comics have suffered from, but coupled with the idea that unlike Comixology and Marvel and DC, I get advertisements for Magic the Gathering Arena. I get advertisements for Hearthstone. You don't see advertisements like for Comixology, maybe because it's a subsidiary of Amazon, but you don't see Wolverine, all new Wolverine X-23 issue where she cuts off Magneto's head coming into comic stores near you and available digitally at Marvel.com. You don't see that. It's not on television anymore. When we were kids, we had stuff like the cartoons that would get us interested in the comic books. You still have cartoons to a certain degree, but they don't have the same effect and the same hold that they used to, because again, the market's so much broader now with streaming. It feels like comic books got left behind in that regard, and they just never recovered from it, and they don't want to, because Nowadays, comic books are just a medium to create a movie or a streaming service or streaming show off of.
Well,
And, hold on, I'm asking the guest. Do you feel like that's part of the problem with marketing in comics?
Well, if you're asking, I can talk. I mean, I agree. There's just not a digital there's not like a digital like marketing strategy that Marvel and DC have. So like, I've only been reading comics since I was 19. I was reading manga when like in middle school, but I found comics when I was 19, and this is a kind of funny story, but I found comics for the first time while on uTorrent. I was downloading porn. And all of a sudden a pop-up pops up, as they do, and it's from DC Comics, and it's the New 52 had just started, and they're saying, and it's like Joker has his face ripped.
I'm sorry.
What the fuck?
And
is that about how it happened? Like you were trying to download porn and the comics just popped out, right? Like
that's what it was. And so it was like Joker's face has been cut off. He's gotten it back. Now Batman's got to stop Joker. And I was like, that sounds so cool. And so I stopped what I was doing and I went on DC. I clicked on the ad and it took me to DC Comics.
But you told me you didn't at least finish what you were doing first.
I did not. It was that good.
Okay.
Oh wow.
And I went on the website and it was like, okay, Batman number 15. I'm like, okay, I don't understand what that means. And then it was like, go to your local comic book store. So I clicked on the thing. It showed me a map. I was like, okay, I live by one. Like it's like 10 minutes away. Got in my car, and I might ask the person. I go, hey, this is what I want. I don't understand what this is. And they walk me through it. And ever since then, I was reading Batman monthly. And nowadays, I don't see any digital advertisements for any comics. I don't see any pop-ups. I don't even see like videos. DC used to have that thing with like that Mexican girl and that white dude, and they would like have like a talk show, and they talk about the latest releases, the latest storylines. They would interview creators, and they don't do that stuff anymore. And it was all to advertise the comics, and I'm like. And yeah, I agree. They just have no strategy. They've really just left it all behind.
Well, what I was going to say relative to what Church is saying, I think it builds off of what you're saying, is every so often, every once in a while, they'll pull Jim Shooter out of stasis, out of the back of a box, out from under a rock, and they'll ask him about modern comics, and people get really excited. They'll be like, "Shooter's coming back! Shooter's coming back!" Because of all of the very successful books and grand events that happened under Jim Shooter's watch. Except, of course, that Jim Shooter is literally a dinosaur at this point who doesn't necessarily understand the modern landscape as it is, right? Like, there's a reason he got let go, and it's because he was a contentious fuckface. But that's a different conversation with a lot of subject matter. The thing is that the last time they pulled him up, and I happened to see the interview, he said that comics were hurt forever. Not just when they got pulled off the news rack, like in the 50s, but when they went to comic stores. Because once we were in specialty stores, yeah, sure, we got a bunch of bonuses, and that it's like this elite environment for comics fans. But it also got eyes off of books. It put books behind a wall, so you couldn't see them. Right? And I think there's a lot of truth to that, because as Church is saying, comics feel like they got left behind. As you're saying, you can't just find comics ads lying around. It very much seems like in the pursuit of the walled garden approach that like Apple has, they've actually gone so far behind their custodial wall, nobody who's not a comics fan or watching the MCU can actually find a comic book anymore. Just coincidentally.
Even if you watch the MCU, you're not going to find a comic because they're not watching.
It's not based on the comics.
Yeah,
right.
But here's the thing, Rune. I have to take contention with something you said.
Sure.
Jim Shooter was responsible for the new universe. Now, unless you want to prostrate yourself before the throne of kickers, then I need you to take back all the praise you just gave him.
Hold up. There were 2 decent books in New Universe, 2.5.
Starbrand,
Kickers is not one of them.
I
DP7,
will fight you.
Justice. Starbrand, DP7, and Justice.
Kickers was
Justice was
wonderfully
trash.
stupid.
Justice was goddamn trash, and you know it.
Well, no, it was good until the whole weird. Actually, you're not an alien. You're just a crazy semi-homeless guy retcon happened.
I mean, that worked for the max, but that's the max.
Can I sue them for life rights over that storyline then?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying, like, because we've talked about it before, the sad life progress of Jim Shooter from avowed fan to industry bigwig to angry old man, right?
Now let's say something crazy. Let's say that Rumble went to us and said, "Guys, I'm going to give you $1 million. You're going to produce a show where Jim Shooter is going to talk to indie comics creators that you screen from the internet, and he's
Gay!
as many books as he can for $1 million." I think Jim Shooter could work in that environment.
Sure, an environment where he's giving his opinion and not actually managing a book. Absolutely.
Well, no, he would manage the creative process. And the problem Jim Shooter had is he didn't manage the people process, but as we have recently learned, especially with the Comics Broke Me hashtag, the people process is even more broken than the money process.
Yeah.
So Tyler Church,
but
so Tyler Church also mentioned he wanted to talk to you a little bit about AI art. So is there anything in particular you wanted to start that conversation on?
Yeah.
Oh, nice segue, Larry. Very subtle.
My day job is working for an AI company. And yet I'm actually very not pro generative AI art currently.
not pro what now? I'm sorry.
I'm not
Generative
pro
AI art.
generative AI art. So like stuff like Midjourney and Stable Diffusion. I just don't like some of the ethics around it. Mostly because and this is just like a personal belief. If people want to use AI art, I don't care. But for me to use it as a final thing, I don't like it. I think artists should be able to opt in. I should be able to opt into Midjourney, dump all my artwork into Midjourney, and then if they use even 1% of part of my art in their generation, that I should get some kind of royalty, whether it's a cent, 2 cents.
And that I feel like that's definitely part of what made me want to bring up the subject with you here. I feel like that goes to your marketing experience and your savvy in the the marketing field, and that you immediately looked at the situation and said, "Hey, we can make this like Spotify, where
yes,
artists just get a little piece of the pie for every time their art is used in a prompt."
Well,
and I don't think that's unrealistic at all.
Well, I actually kind of disagree with that premise. For the one reason is coming from a music background, right? I take a lot of different guitar players, styles, licks, tricks, techniques, whatever. What's the difference from that? Hold on. Well, hold on. Let me finish. If I play a lick in the same type of scale that BB King uses, for example, because it's a fun scale framework to play in, should I have to pay the BB King estate, even though I'm not playing something he exactly did, but I'm using similar techniques and notation and intervals that he probably used at some point in his 50-year career?
I think we're comparing apple and
oranges here. You're not an AI programmer.
Hold up. You want to compare apples and oranges?
Let me have this one, Larry. I think I got this.
Okay.
But no, this is apple and oranges. You're not an AI programmer. You are a human being using inspiration. What I think Tyler's talking about is if you're creating an end product using an AI sampling machine, and that machine spits out something that was, created specifically because of Tyler's work, that Tyler should get a piece of the money you have to pay into that machine to get that music.
So let me give you a counterexample to your point. So you ever think about what the hospital does when they cut off a piece of you and they throw that away?
No.
You think it just goes to a big garbage pile in the sky?
Yes.
Well, it doesn't.
I hope so.
In that big pile of paperwork you sign with the hospital, you give them the rights to any derivative research from your cellular material. So if the hospital finds if the hospital finds something in you that could lead to a profitable multi-billion-dollar drug to treat diabetes, well, you know what? You get nothing.
In that contract. And this
it's in that contract.
You signed the contract. You didn't read the fine print. And you accepted service in exchange for the right to use your genetic material that was, cultured in that particular service.
I will posit they did not use my mom's legs when they cut them off. Those things were rotted and gross. They got rid of those.
See,
no, that's not true. I actually use like very grotesque stilts, and they make me very happy. It's on my memory.
Einbrecht said your mic is sucking church. I wasn't sure if that was actually your mic or just my shitty internet connection at the moment.
It is absolutely that Church is either in a wind tunnel or is currently filleting his microphone.
And I currently am recovering from a respiratory deal, so that's why I'm a little mouth breathy today.
But
the
reason, well, okay, so the reason I came up with the analogy I did is because my understanding of how AI works is it takes little bits of quote unquote inspiration, if you will, just from a computerized sense to create a new image based on the prompts. That's my understanding more or less of how it works. So I don't see how that's any different from me taking
I'll tell you why.
bits of inspiration to create a song. You know what I mean?
It's just because you're a human. Because I'm a musician as well. So
the process is the same then.
Yes, but
is that any better?
But
yes.
But there's no.
For now.
If I go because I made AI music yesterday actually.
On the new Google
fun.
It was through Canva actually.
Oh, I didn't know that somebody else has already gotten into that space.
Oh yeah, dude, Canva has. If you pay $30 a month for Canva, and they've got text to image, they've got AI. And
these AI bots are starting to get too expensive. There's too many of them to pay for.
I do Canva for $30 a month, and it has you get stock photos, you get it's the best deal for a creative. But with the whole BB King analogy is let's say I'm not a musician, but then I do a prompt that says I want an EDM beat that also has the scales of BB King. I want a solo like BB King in there. It's then going to generate it. It's going to listen to BB King. It's going to spout out something, and it's kind of like sampling. I mean, I think like DJs do have to pay for the samples or get some of that stuff licensed, and so I think for me, I think it's only fair that if you were to do an AI of that BB King's estate should get some kind of royalty because you used it. I mean, I think in the future it might be kind of crazy, but someone could dump all of Jim Lee's art into an AI, and let's say I want an AI comic
be able to make anything except feet.
I could just pay. I could just go. I want the AI. I want the Jim Lee license. I pay X amount of money, and then I can have a Jim Lee comic. I will go as far as to say I think in the future, when AI gets really, really, really good, it'll get to the point where I can tell the AI and say, "Hey, I want this kind of video game. I want this kind of TV show," and you put the prompt in, and then boom, it comes out.
So I've actually talked to several of the Midjourney developers because I recently took several publicly available comic book scripts and said, "Hey, here's the description of the scene from this comic book script," and they're pretty close. I mean, Matt and I did some experiments with it like a year ago, and it was nowhere near prime time. And they
Real
basically,
quick,
as I was,
sound any better?
yes. And as I was
Okay.
describing to them
We'll just do it
my
like that.
critiques of it, they said, we have things in the work for not just the generation that's coming up, but the next generation that'll fix both of those problems.
And again, I want to reiterate, Ayrton, to your point, if you are inspired by something and you create it as a human being, it is your creation. Now, if you vanilla ice it and go, and
It's totally
then
different
you,
because that part in the middle.
but
Actually, it's different because the 8th note in the run he cuts off, and I think it's after 7 notes it counts as
He
Mhm.
still lost
copyrightable.
legally and
no,
He
he
did.
didn't lose. It was dismissed because he went and bought the rights to the song.
Yeah. Yeah.
after the fact.
No, in the middle of court.
Yeah, in the middle of court.
He was
bought
late.
the rights
He was
to it.
late to court while this was being decided because he was at the record studio buying the rights to the song.
Good, but that's your ultimate way to win an argument. You ripped somebody off just a second. Nope, I own the rights. I couldn't have ripped them off.
You didn't own the rights
Right.
when you did it. It doesn't matter. I own them now. But yeah, I think that's the difference in my opinion. And to reiterate what I was saying, it's not about, oh well, so and so created something that was inspired by my thing. We're talking about the actual usage of your personal information to create something whole cloth by a machine. And that machine should pay dividends to the people that add to it.
But
You mean like how
technically,
Amazon does that with all of your purchases? And Facebook does it with all of your Facebook
That's-
likes and things?
They're in a
Twitter
lawsuit
does
for
it?
that just settled, but yeah.
But
And,
again,
and Twitter
my
does it.
my understanding of how the AI art and stuff works is very, very rudimentary. So I could be wrong, but it's not taking whole cloth like bits of art from people. It's taking
But it's the difference.
inspiration, if you would,
But it's the
and
difference of
diffusing
a
it
human
into an
being
image.
inspired versus a machine creating something from someone else's creation. A
So
computer can't be
there's
inspired, Ayrton. A
But the
computer
there's-
human,
can
but the
only
human
stand
who's doing the
create things.
prompt is inspired to use those prompts to get the results they want. Technically speaking, like I'm using.
And if they pay for the
service,
service, then a portion of the service should go to the person who made the prompt possible.
So you
The
have
problem-
to you have to look at this different. You have to look at this differently.
Okay.
Digital art is done through algorithms and data. So even
Yes.
on Photoshop, they can create a perfect line. Why? Because it's not created by a human, it's created by an algorithm. And so when you learn if I spend like 10 years learning how to draw like Jim Lee,
Mhm.
there's still like that, there's still the human aspect of it. But when an AI draws like Jim Lee,
It's going to be like Jim Lee drew it.
It's all data and algorithm. There's no human element in it. And so when it's data and algorithms, that's when you can license it.
So to put it into perspective as far as music goes, it's kind of like the difference between Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire" and Fall Out Boy's "We Didn't Start the Fire."
being good versus shit.
But here's
like with the drum track, for example, like if you listen to a song, you know that it's a drum track. And if you're listening to a band, you can go, oh, that was a drum track because the snare has a perfect sound, the kick has a certain
and you can tell the difference between Peter Frampton's guitar and Eric Clapton's guitar from a mile away.
But when a real drummer records those drums, the snare isn't perfect each hit, and you can tell that.
Right. What I was gonna add to this this stew of opinions is the one problem with both positions, both for you, Church, and for you, Ayrton. Though I agree in a number of different ways, is how much of a percentage is an actual component of a thing? And I think that's what judges have to quibble about. That's
Well,
their
actually,
job.
no. It's not how judges work. Judges aren't smart enough to do that anymore. So
I
what
know, I get
judges
that.
do is they hire consultants who, generally speaking, work for the tech companies.
No, I
Holy
get
shit,
that.
guys!
But
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt this. This is important. So I'm gonna put a how do I do that? I'll put it in the Twitter, Ayrton, if you can pull it up. But
Okay.
so I work as a graphic designer on the side at night for my print job, and a lot of times while the show is going on, if I'm not too fucking hammered, I'll be working on something in the background. And the company that I work for has me working on some golf shirts for their new 2024 line that they're coming out with.
is it the relapse line?
No. This is a golf shirt, and in this golf shirt, Jesus Christ, how much did you got? Oh, different cage. Okay, so let's see if this works. Yep, there it is. This is the pattern that they're having me create with the color scheme they gave me. Now, when I get a color, it's just a number in a Pantone book. Ayrton, if you can pull that up.
Really?
You know exactly what. Don't say it.
Really?
That's the color scheme they picked.
There is no way this is real.
It is real.
Not real.
It is real. I can show you the
Okay,
clip from
hold
the
on.
email they sent me that gave me the Pantone numbers. Boys, they want this stripe.
Hold up. What you need to do is tell them, bro, not only will I design this stripe for you, I'll make you a nice corporate medallion too.
I will make you. I will recreate your logo and sonnet you.
Oh, holy shit!
I saw this color like it literally just happened. I just plugged the colors into my program, and this is what it spit out. And I said, "Holy shit!" Because I'm familiar with the Pantone Solid Coded Color book, but everybody's shifting gears to the Pantone Textiles Coded book. And those are a series of 6-number integers, and I don't know them all yet. Like I've memorized most of the solid coded book. So you say 376, and I say, oh, you want a lime green, and then you say like 274, and I'm like, oh, a purple, or a 188, a maroon. But they just give me these textile numbers, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then I plug it in, and I'm like, oh, that's a maroon. Oh no, that's a teal. Guys, they don't know. They don't know what a Christian is.
My smile, my happiness gone.
So since
continue.
Since Tyler only has a few minutes, I'm just curious because my disconnect on this may just be my lack of understanding of how this shit works. Like as far as the AI stuff. So since you said you work in that as like your day job, I'm curious like the TLDR explanation of how this stuff is actually working, because I don't actually know. I've just kind of heard other people kind of explain it. I'm kind of like, oh, okay, I think I get it.
I work in a different AI space, so this is like generative AI, which is a lot like Larry could probably tell you more about that because it's a lot of it's prompt based. I'm in the productivity AI space.
Yeah, he's the guy who makes an AI software that'll say, "Here's how you make your Excel spreadsheets do what you want it to do."
Yeah, so like the AI bot, like we can make an AI bot for you, but basically you say, "Hey, what do you want us to do?" And then we'll make the AI bot. Mostly what we're doing, the AI bot that we create is let's say you're a business, let's say you sell t-shirts and you want the contact information of every place that sells t-shirts so that you can sell them your t-shirts so that they can sell your t-shirts for you. You would just tell our bot, hey, this is the kind of person, this is the kind of clothing, this is the brand, blah blah. It'll then scrape the internet and give you their phone number
Gotcha.
and their email address, and then it can go even further if you want. It can actually contact them and like have a whole like conversation back and forth until they're ready to deal with you. Here's the ethical AI question, I think, and if it's too spicy or if it's something you're not discussing, by all means. But what's stopping somebody from using that technology and saying, okay, brunette between the ages of 18 and 25
within this many mile radius.
Wait, sorry, say that one more time.
I said, what's stopping someone from using this technology from saying, okay, brunette or blonde, 18
Gotcha.
to 25, within 3 miles of this location.
Someone
this
could
body
probably
Already doing that.
someone probably could do an AI bot.
They're
an AI
already
bot
doing
like
stuff
that.
like that.
Well, I seem to recall that there are politicians with binders full of women.
But no,
No,
they're already
that's
doing
women
that.
binded in basements room. You got it backwards.
That's actually stuff has been going on longer than the generative AI for art, Church.
Yes.
That's stuff
That's
that
terrifying.
Target. That's stuff that Target is doing. Target figured out how to determine when women were pregnant using algorithms before the women knew.
So
That's amazing.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is you basically make an AI telemarketer?
Well, yeah, I mean, AI. I agree with. To back up what Larry is saying is AI has only been public for maybe a year or two. I've been using AI for the last 7 years. I've been creating AI bots, to do my job.
AI's
for the
been
last 7
public
years.
longer than that, I think.
Well,
It's just
there's-
the ability for the pleb to interact with AI.
Yes.
All right,
Let's
let's be clear. So there's secret, which is the government's working on it. There's private, which is it's available to corporations who know what's going on. And then there's public, that is John P. Public, you and I know about it and can utilize it. Because one of the conspiracy theories making the rounds, and I don't necessarily fully disregard it, is that the reason movies have been so shit lately, among several other reasons, is that the major movie companies are using AIs to try and round out their scripts faster without
The
using-
Writers Guild of America has stated that outright.
Right. I say it's a conspiracy theory, but I don't discount it out of hand.
Yeah, here's the thing with AI. AI can only do what it's told, and it can only be, and then how you tell it is by feeding it what's already been done. And so, like, I had a big discussion about this week on my Twitter and on my YouTube channel, where I said that like when it comes to generative AI art, in terms of writing and art, I think humans will always win, because you're like AI doesn't have that human element. AI doesn't have the human element.
Let me give you a good example that I've actually done. I've taken things I've written and I said, "Hey, ChatGPT, please act as a developmental editor. Here's what a developmental editor is. Please tell me how I can improve this script." And it gives, I would say, a C- to C+ level effort. I know people I've hired for editing and developmental editing assistants that do better work, but that changes the cost curve.
You're right, but then when someone does that developmental edit on a story, you're right. I mean, like, for the company that I work, when I was working at a publishing company, and we had we needed to hire developmental editors. I mean, my boss would go, "Hey, can we just have an AI do this?" And I'd go, and I remember one time we had an AI do it. We had a girl who we paid like $2 a page to do it, and then we had like an actual good person do it. I mean, it was night and day, the good person versus the AI. And then the girl in the middle was like, she was like a little better than the AI. And what I guess my point in with the whole AI thing is that, like, I keep saying, with the rise of AI, there's going to be a rise of mediocrity, but which means that there's going to be an even bigger spotlight on quality.
I mean, that is, in a different way, what I've been saying. I have some friends who are traditional artists who are very concerned that they're going to lose their livelihoods, right? And I've been trying to explain to them the idea that they don't realize how good they've had it for how long, right? The ability to basically demand prices and be kind of shitty and unilateral. It's not that AI art's going to replace traditional art, but it is going to cut into your bottom line, because you're wrestling against the inexpense of the AI in exchange for the quality and the experience of the artist. Humans will never not be in the artistic process.
Yes.
Speaking of not knowing how good you could have it, is you could have right now a pre-order of Super Plumber Sisters #1, a sexy action comic, that is Supernatural meets the Mario gender bent Mario Brothers.
Wait,
So
wait a minute, Church. Are you saying I can have this right now?
Right
well,
now.
you can purchase a digital copy right now. I'm not sure if the digital copy has been sent out yet or is sent out with purchase, but you could buy this right now and be promised a copy when it is released.
Are operators standing by?
Yes, they are. We actually have one operator on this show.
Oh, excellent.
I promise that wait, if you back the book, we'll get it to you. Well, we've only done 7 pages, and that's actually my fault because I'm in charge of the layouts for all the pages, and I just stopped at 7. And then the artist keeps messaging me, goes, "Yo, you paid me for the book already, but where is it?" And I'm like, just I'm having a hard week. Give me a second.
And that's the real problem for being an indie developer / artist is I got a day job and I got a life, so it's hard to budget time to get a comic book put together.
Well,
go
ahead.
And I'm just like with all my comics, if I ever hire an artist, it's mostly I hire artists just because I don't have time to draw it myself. And so, but I know exactly how I want it to look. So instead of scripting out what I want, I literally draw, I thumbnail all the pages and then I hand it to the artist and then they go, okay, here's what I have to draw. So I just haven't done that past page 7 yet.
And yet again, Joe gets no work.
So let me ask this one question. The campaign is so staggeringly straightforward that I have very few questions. The only one I have, is why the price increase per cover.
So that's I'll tell you why. That's how you make money with variants.
I mean, that's the right answer. I'm not used to seeing it. Everyone's just like, oh.
Ethan Van Sciver made his bones doing that.
But here's the thing.
I think I'm gonna get cover H.
This is what the problem with a lot of indies do with their variants, and they see other people do this, and I go, you're not understanding this. So like the people who have the same cover, who have different covers, but they command the same price. Most of those books are $20 to $25.
Yeah.
And I don't charge that much. I don't charge that much for my books.
No, your book is $10.
Yeah, so I for a 40-page book. So I always try to command a very, very reasonable price for the main cover. So like this is $10 for my Growth of Megafist. It's $15, and the Growth of Megafist, by the way, is a 200-page book every time, and it's $15.
Oh, wow.
So I try to, and I do 2 of those a year. So like I try to keep my base physical book at a very reasonable price. Everything else at that point, though, is all the extra variant covers are to entice you to spend a little more. I don't need you to, but if you want to, I give you the option.
Okay.
Business.
Hey, and you basically did exactly what I wanted you to. But yes, everybody, check the link in the description. Follow Tyler on Twitter. The Super Plumber Sisters #1 has already superseded its goal. And I know everybody sets a low goal because obviously no one can create and fund a book for $500. But even so, $13,000 is nothing to shy at, especially on a platform that is poo-pooed by most indie creators.
I wouldn't say that, actually. I actually think Kickstarter is the most preferred crowdfunding platform. It's just certain.
Let me rephrase. By most indie creators that we have that dealt with comics.
There we go. Yeah, it's funny because my books do terrible. It's just different landscapes. Kickstarter has a very organic audience of people who will back books, and Indiegogo is it's a completely different marketing strategy when you go onto Indiegogo.
And Fund My Comics is kind of the Wild West because nobody's really developed the funding base there yet. So nobody knows how that works yet.
Well, Fund My Comic I think Fund My Comic actually has the same problem that Indiegogo has in terms of audience, where there's no organic audience on either of those platforms. It's up to the creator. So basically, every time you get a backer, it was because the creator did something to get that backer, to earn that backer. Whereas on Kickstarter, you can put up a book, and if it's what Kickstarter people like, they will back the book regardless of the creator. And a lot of people pushed back on me when I said that, and I proved it this year by not telling anyone I had a campaign. I created a secret account. I did a pseudonym. I put up a book that had no association to me. It funded in 24 hours. It raised like $4,000 in 1 week without me telling a soul. And so yeah, Kickstarter and Indiegogo are just very different platforms. Thank you. Very different platforms.
Yeah.
Well, Tyler, now you can decide whether you want to thank us for bringing you on, and also whether you want to come on again.
No, I definitely will. Thank you.
we didn't get a real chance to even get the engine fully running on all the cool stuff that Tyler can talk about.
You guys, feel free to invite me. I will say this. I'm curious what Larry will think about this. Is in terms of the whole AI art thing. I heard the saying, and it kind of changed my AI art, and it's AI is not going to steal your job. Someone who is using AI is going to steal your job.
Yeah,
right.
That's believable.
I think that's the realistic thing. Is there's going to be a new generation of artists who know how to use AI art, just like contemporary digital artists use Photoshop. And like you look at all those comics with digital asset landscapes put into it, we're not that far away.
Hey, can you pull up my campaign one more time? I'll show you something. So it's scroll down and go to the first like splash page where you see like kind of like the big monster. And this will just be an example of, speed in terms of art. Yeah, right there. So I did the layouts, and my artist only draws the characters and like the monster. That's all my artist does.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is a 3D asset.
And you can almost pull that off with something like Midjourney today.
There is an AI right now that will do furniture. So it'll give you an OpenAI file, a 3D.
I actually saw something online today. There's an account on YouTube that I follow that talks about interesting websites, and there are AIs out there where you can like set up. And I think that the example given is this guy had like a coffee mug, a water bottle, and a pencil holder with a bandana wrapped around it, and it created like an island with buildings on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, you could do that. There's a new mode they have on Midjourney, which is called experimental, where you can just throw a bunch of stuff together and give it the encouragement to be weird.
It's one of those things where in the volume 2 of my book, Girl with the Mega Fist, keep in mind each of these volumes are 200 pages. There's a 90-page fight scene in this book, and I was like,
90-page fight scene.
90-page fight scene.
Did you just fucking say that to me? Watch your mouth.
My penis can only get so erect, sir.
That's so funny. Yeah. So
it is the world's largest micropenis. It can really only get so erect.
That's true. That's very poignant.
Unlike your micropenis.
So so it's a 90-page fight scene, and it all takes place in this one little town. And I was in it at the time. We're in a different world, and so I'm like, man, like I do not want to draw the background every single page. Like that's just going to be such a time suck. Especially as someone with a day job, family, kids, and so I'm like, okay, what should I do? So I drew out the town like in 2D, and I paid a 3D artist. I said, hey, turn this into a 3D landscape. They did. They sent me the file, and so then all I had to do was draw the fights, and then I could just drag and drop, reposition, and then hit a filter, and then now it looks like I drew it. And it's one of those tools. I look at that tool, and it's the same way as I look at AI, where AI is just going to be a tool, just like me using that 3D background is a tool. It's going to speed up my efficiency, speed up my drawing process. That's how I look at AI art. Just another tool.
I mean, and
that's how you look at us here on the show. We're just a couple of other tools.
Just little tools. Sorry, it was Ayrton?
Ayrton.
Yes, yes,
Ayrton.
Ayrton.
Yeah. Were you gonna say something?
No, Church was about to say something. I interrupted.
Oh no, I just said that was the way we were supposed to look at AI because. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say Ayrton is a tool, so that's what was going on.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. Let me know if you guys ever want, and we can schedule. But I appreciate my time here.
Hey, thank you very much for coming on.
you.
We appreciate it and look forward to having you again.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
And like that, we never saw him again.
Who did that?
The next,
that was the best thing I ever heard.
I mean, the guys, comes from a certain religious background, so that's
I thought that was Ayrton that said bye. Or
No, I said bye.
Oh no, that was you then. You've had the gayest.
So the next guest I've been working on lining up, he's going to be on hiatus for like a month or two, but I have in addition to just bringing content, I have brought a guest. I have once again enriched the show.
No, I enriched the show. It was my idea to get him on.
Okay, look.
Yeah, but
no one enriches this show. I haven't made $1 since I've been here.
Wait, hold on.
You're not gonna make money with that attitude.
So I did bring something specifically for Rune. I found another cooking video.
Oh, you motherfucker! Okay,
and
before we watch this cooking video, I gotta tell you about cooking bullshit today.
No, we're just going straight into this, and this video comes from CNN International, so this is not a shit post.
Primer.
No.
I won't tell you about the bullshit I was dealing with today with cooking. Go ahead. Let's.
Let's rip the bandage off. Let's rip the bandage off.
All right, Rune, ready?
Okay.
This is the world's hardest street food. It's a new trend coming out of China.
Oh no, I've seen this bullshit. I agree with the commentator. That's not a sign of food. That's a sign of starvation. Okay.
Come on, Rune.
It's like stone soup. Just instead of it being soup, it's just sauce that's stone flavored.
They're using fucking chopsticks to pick up the rocks.
Here's the thing.
This is fucking hilarious.
Here's the thing. When the poem Stone Soup was conceived, it was this little thing we called the Dark Ages, and we had this little thing called the Black Death going on.
Oh no, the Stone Soup was also a big thing during the Depression.
Please.
Oh no, I get that. But I'm just saying.
Stone Soup was a big thing in the Depression too.
I know, and I'm just saying, it's like this is a sign that things are not going well.
Gloss over my racism.
No, we love your racism, Church.
I just said that it's African American plague room, please.
Oh, is it? Is it?
It is.
They didn't bring it to us. I believe it's in fact the Arab menace because they brought it from the Middle East.
It came on rats that most likely came from the Mongol areas or the Turkic areas.
I mean,
so in fact we should call the Black Death the Yellow Fever. Got it.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, I think about 1,000 years ago, the Arabs did invent the first condom using was it a sheep intestine? But the British improved on it 500 years later by removing it from the sheep first.
Well, that's nothing. They actually the ancient Greeks did it first with the sheep.
I guess they're probably still listening to this show and thinking, "Thank God I got the fuck out of there before this happened."
That was a joke, Larry.
I mean, we're using that as a palate cleanser before we start to talk about the Flash.
Yeah. Come on.
Because
what do you think the Flash is?
I thought skipping the show last week meant we didn't have to talk about the Flash.
We did talk about the Flash. I talked about it the week before.
I know. I just knew it was going to come back. Well, what are we talking about the Flash? What happened, Larry? Where did the Flash touch him? Show me on the doll.
Ayrton. I actually put an image related to this on in the chat. It's the last link that I sent, which we haven't clicked on.
So the Flash has a lot of problems. Number one of those problems being Ezra Miller is a hugely divisive figure who solved all of his legal problems by paying people off. People were
That
mad
sounds all
that
fine. Either that or
people
make
were
them
mad
disappear.
that Gal Gadot got fired. People were mad
Wait, she
Henry
got fired?
Cavill got fired.
Me
Basically,
on
she
my
got
way to
fired from
fuck
Wonder
your
Woman.
wife.
People were mad Grant Gustin didn't get the rub up to Flash twice. He got dissed. People were mad that the Snyder Cut got cut out. People were mad that the Shazam movies were basically put in an unwinnable situation. So basically, everything that could make people excited about this movie without seeing it was taken away. The movie has one of the largest budgets, but you know who's going to have a larger budget of their movie that's coming out this weekend? Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones has cost more money.
Wait, was this Flash talk a segue to piss me off about Indiana Jones too?
That is
I
in
need to
fact
get my fedora
why
for this segment.
that is why I had Ayrton show Peter Dinklage on a Segway.
On a scooter.
And they're currently projecting Indiana Jones 5 is going to lose more money than The Flash.
Which is hilarious.
So structurally, the problem with the Flash story is it doesn't focus on the story. It does the things the story needs to do because the audience needs to see it. So we get to hear
But
about
Larry,
the Flashes.
Did you not laugh when the babies flew out the window of the hospital? That was the funniest fucking thing in the whole movie.
I did. I'm gonna get to that portion in a moment, but I want to talk about what this movie did that was just glaringly stupid. And all those studio executives who said this is a brilliant superhero movie,
stupid of it.
and how all of these studio executives who defended it publicly should all be ashamed for themselves, except they're
That movie
currently
came
rolling
out like
around
hell
in
over
money.
there. It's all fucked up.
So we don't just get one Flash introduction of getting his powers. We get the Flash having to get his powers again a second time, hearing about the Flash getting his powers the third time.
That's true to Flashpoint, though.
Well, no. The problem is, well, that may be true to Flashpoint in the comic book. You got a movie, and the movie's got a certain amount of time to get things done. So instead of, getting to the business of the story, we're busy meandering around like, hey, that Flash character that first was introduced to you about 10 years ago? Yeah, we're going to tell you his origin story now. What? You mean you don't care about his origins? Oh, I haven't even gotten to Batman yet.
Now, Larry,
so you're about to shit talk Michael Keaton's Batman? Because I will fight.
I am not.
So Larry,
Michael Keaton's Batman was head and tails the best Batman in that movie.
Did you notice though?
There's more than one Batman.
All the
There's more than one Batman in that movie.
There is. Larry, did you notice the Central City sets in the movie were the same sets for the CW show?
Of course,
you mean the same sets that they filmed on in England?
Yeah.
So we have those introductions
for the '90s sci-fi show.
So we have to introduce Barry, have Barry tell Barry about how Barry got his powers. Then Barry and Barry have to go get Barry's powers.
Are you telling me that the Flash movie was just like Ezra Miller's life, all about him?
I mean, why do you think there was a scene of him putting a baby into a microwave?
I mean, it sounds like the first time I saw this movie, it was called Multiplicity, and it had Michael Keaton, and Michael Keaton. And
well, one of those Michael Keaton was played by Nick Cage.
So then the movie, the Flash screws up the timeline in the beginning of the movie. It's one of his cardinal rules.
Vietnam flashbacks.
It's one of his cardinal rules, but the movie doesn't say, why is the Flash gonna break one of his cardinal rules? Now, I mean, they say, oh, like his dad, lost his appeal. I mean, that's not gonna do it. His dad's going to the electric chair. So you know what? They're putting Dad in the electric chair, lost his final appeal. That could have sold me on that. But that would have been this movie trying to take a risk. And the movie was already taking a big risk with Ezra Miller, so they couldn't make any decisions on how to take any other risks because they were
putting a baby in a microwave?
Yeah, so they have to make us believe that Ezra Miller is this, great superhero. So there's an earthquake. There's a big to do in Gotham. Somebody steals some stuff from underneath the hospital, causes a sinkhole, and part of the hospital tips over and all the babies fall out.
I saw this episode of House. It didn't end well.
And the Flash has to also get over the fact he's hangry, so he could have enough super speed to save all the babies.
Which never comes up again in the entire movie.
But here's the thing though: if the Flash is hungry, he's fast enough to like run to New York and eat some pizza and get back to Gotham to save the babies.
Look,
Well,
we know that when Ezra Miller's hangry, people get hit and they run fast enough to avoid the police. That's what happens.
So we had
Fucking queer. Fucking
Jesus Christ.
So
I've been
then
laughing
Ezra,
at that video for like a week straight, by the way.
then
I can see
Ezra,
how Michael has spoken apparently.
then Ezra travels back in time, where we're introduced to the third Ezra Miller in this movie, where we don't find out he's the third Ezra Miller in this movie until near the end.
Yeah.
So we meet the first Ezra Miller, then the third Ezra Miller, then we meet the second Ezra Miller. And technically, there's actually the second Ezra Miller is actually a third. So it's first, fourth, second, third.
I'm sorry, I'll be right back. The idea of 4 Ezra Millers, I'm gonna go find
Wait,
Darkseid
where
and
was
let him kill
Where
me.
was the fourth one?
The kid in the kid in the grocery store.
Church, you don't want to be
right.
killed by Darkseid. If Darkseid hits you with the Omega Beams, the life that is death, you will have to experience being Ezra Miller.
No. I'll just go back in time like Batman did.
And
So-
be Ezra Miller.
And leave
So-
my mark as a cross everywhere and start Christianity.
So after Barry gave Barry his powers, and Barry had to do the montage of "I'm stupid and young and I have superpower."
Not a chance. Not this time. It never happened. It never happened. We made.
Then Barry learned that for some reason, his altering one single event in the past led to all sorts of things in the further past being altered, like Michael J. Fox no longer being the star of Back to the Future. Why? Well, luckily they find Michael Keaton's Batman who explains it to them and says
Because he
instead of
knows
it,
about time travel, even though he's never done it.
He explains it as like a plate of spaghetti.
Oh wait,
Right.
no, it's old. It's old Michael Keaton Batman, so he's already been hit by the Omega Beam, so he has been back in time.
right, but you see, he hasn't been hit by the Omega Beams yet, but the effects of it have traveled through the multiple timelines to that Michael Keaton Batman.
Okay, all right, I'm with you. I'm following. As I spill another drink.
The first good point of the movie.
I just want to say I hate that we're using bad storylines from DC Comics to explain worse storylines in bad DC movies. Carry on.
So
Very meta. It's very us.
the fight sequence with Ezra and Ezra versus Michael Keaton's Batman was one of the first points the movie actually does something good. Now,
Yes, because
earlier
Ezra
in the
Miller
movie,
gets hit in the face by a broom. It's hilarious.
earlier in the movie, we had.
And I don't think it was acting. I think Michael Keaton was just annoyed with him on set that day and actually hit him in the face with a broom.
Earlier in the movie, we have a brief cameo with Batfleck and Gal Gadot, where both of them are finally released from their contractual obligation of doing these characters.
Did you like Batfleck's suit, like the callback with the gray and the blue cape and cowl?
I think it looked good.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was cool.
And so then Ezra and Ezra have a fight because the younger of the two Ezras is extremely autistic, AD&D, and bipolar.
So
and
Ezra.
The older Ezra realizes, holy shit, is this why everybody thinks I'm an annoying douchebag?
Yes, Ezra. That's why we think you're an annoying douchebag.
In my personal opinion, that has to be one of the scenes that was added after the reshoots.
Oh shit! Did you guys see this? Putting it in the private chat if you'll pull it up.
Okay.
This is God damn it. This is on brand for us and this topic. So here we go. Apparently there was a problem today in Hollywood.
Say it
Oh
ain't
yeah,
so.
no. Hold up. Did you see my Twitter post related to that?
No.
Give me a second. I will get my tweet.
Insurance fraud to deal with the consequences of the flash. Very good.
Put that up on the screen.
Here, I'll copy your tweet and send it in private chat.
So yeah.
Look, I'm not saying insurance fraud. Allegedly. I'm just
Also,
saying.
Let me put the banner back up.
I'm just saying the words insurance
let me fix the banner. By DC and WB.
Oh God. Enough. I'm going to seize the opportunity. I'm going to give a segue. We're going to give us a little palate cleanser, so we can move on to another subject that's going to cause rage and screaming.
Well,
wait,
hold
I
up.
had
We haven't. Hold up. We
Larry's
haven't even
not
gotten
done
to the
yet.
middle.
Oh,
We haven't even gotten to the middle of this horrible Flash movie.
You got to see this. You got to see this. If it will actually come up properly, J.K. Rowling, not my favorite person, but she can be a savage.
And I do have another video for you, Rune.
Well, no, I'm trying to seize control because I have something for you, Ayrton. I want to hear your opinions. It's your time to be angry, but first, from the world of J.K. Rowling, I've sent a link in the private. This is not me fucking around. This is an actual thing of beauty.
Okay, hold on.
This is fantastic. I see this.
Right. Whether I like J.K. Rowling or not, that was savage and needs to be respected. So, Ayrton, I would like to know your thoughts. Maybe you've heard about this, maybe you haven't, but I'm pretty sure you have because I'm pretty sure Larry brought it up. How do you feel about Idris Elba's opinions that he would love to be James Bond, but he just can't now because of all the racism?
Because they made it about. No. Here's the thing, Rune. I think you misinterpreted that, and I actually appreciate what he said. Like, I would have loved to have been James Bond, but they only wanted me to be James Bond because of race.
Right, but is he saying that to the corpos, or is he saying that because that's the fan outrage about him being a black guy who could be a James
I'm
Bond?
pretty sure it's about the corpos and the people trying to push for a black James Bond.
I took it as him trying to lay a unilateral blame, which would also splash on fans that are like,
no, because he's been through this before, and there was no. He's been through this before, and the only people that had any backlash about it were the people that were actually complaining about the story element when he was the gunslinger in the Dark Tower.
Yeah.
And that movie was a horrible production.
But the only backlash you got were from like the diehards who were like, well, you took away from the story element of the black lady character who hated white people and, hated the gunslinger because of his whiteness.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no backlash because, you made the gunslinger black. I mean, if you've read Stephen King as extensively as I have when it comes to the gunslinger shit, you know that there's an ancillary story called the Talisman, which has a follow-up called The Black House. But in the Talisman, Speedy Parker is a black character who, on the other side of the territories, quote unquote, which is one of the universes the Dark Towers goes through, and possibly the origin of the gunslinger, Parkus himself is a gunslinger.
See, I thought we were going to talk about 007, but apparently we're now going to talk about the Dark Tower. So why don't we?
No. We gotta rate this back because much like the Flash, it meanders into alternate universes that aren't worth the time.
So my thoughts on it are very simple. I think Idris Elba as an actor would play the character well, but James Bond is an archetype, a very specific archetype of a British nationalist during the Cold War. You cannot have a black person play a British nationalist who is an orphan from Scotland who does everything for Queen and Country. That doesn't work with the archetype.
You know who would be a great James Bond though? Count Dracula.
Yes.
let me get back to the Flash for a moment.
Yes, back to those are my only thoughts on him. He probably would have done a good job, but it's stupid to make James Bond black. It doesn't make any sense.
So Ezra number 1 bonds with with Bruce Wayne over dead parents, and how he did what he did over dead parents,
as one does.
Okay,
as one
so
does.
if anybody's watching, we now need someone to do an edit of the meme where instead of Batman slapping the shit out of Robin going, "My parents are dead," we need the Flash slapping the shit out of Robin saying, "My parents are dead."
No, we need Batman slapping the shit out of the Flash.
Going, "My parents are dead."
So Ezra was trying to find all the other members of the Justice League, and he wasn't able to find them. Now, in the Flashpoint, there's an alternate Justice League he forms. But in this movie, we scrap all that because there were two different ideas that Warner Studios had that they developed into this movie to the point that they can't get rid of them.
Yeah.
So they go to
let's talk
Soviet
about those
Russia.
alternate ideas.
Well, they were going to have a new Trinity that was going to be all female.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because that's working out so well over at Marvel. Yay!
Well, no, I mean that got canned.
I thought Trinity was female. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen The Matrix.
Well, not in the most recent version of The Matrix. Trinity's a trans allegory.
I mean, the Matrix was already gay,
Okay.
so they might as well.
It's just like the creators of The Matrix, a trans allegory.
If you stand to the west and fire, will the bullet reach me?
I'll just
my
I'll just
9mm
give your
won't.
address. Shoot me your address in DM.
So,
Okay.
They go to
You and
they go to
Darkseid in a
Rush-
pickup truck, come get me.
They go to Russian PMC camp to get what they're thinking is going to be Cal, because Zod's here. Why is Zod here? Well, no, but it's this version of Supergirl, which wasn't even the original Snyder version of Supergirl.
Which she actually wasn't horrible. She wasn't as annoying as I thought she was going to be.
She did as good as what she was given in the script, which wasn't a whole lot.
Right, like her performance, the actress did a good job, I should say.
And the movie wants us to believe that Ezra #1 is a good guy because he saves her for no real reason. But in actuality, and I'm going to point this out, it's we're here looking for somebody who's Kryptonian, and they got her this big giant fuck-off sphere with massive computers and a base full of Russian army guys. Pretty sure she's the person. So by saying, no, I just saved her because I'm a good dopey guy, the movie doesn't understand how to get the character of Barry Allen as Ezra Miller over.
Well, can I actually make a serious comment on this flaw for just a minute? Because anyone listening to this who doesn't know us and we sound like a bunch of shitlords goofing off would think that our criticism has to do with, the Flash saves people. That's stupid. No, we know the Flash saves people. We know that the Flash is actually a pretty chill guy. The problem actually boils down to the following, which is between the various films Flash has appeared in, they have done none of the character buildup, which does not exist in this film either, to justify the idea to us that Flash is a decent person who saves people because it is second nature, right? Because the actual Flash, the actual Barry Allen, is a guy who would just save people for saving people because they're.
You mean Grant Gustin?
Get the fuck out! No, I'm just saying. Anyone who's actually into Flash's story, especially the idea that multiversal bullshit has made his life suffering, and he still turned out a decent person, right? Is well aware that's no, actually, the Flash is absolutely a guy that would save people to save people because it's the right thing to do on whim without thinking about it. But they don't.
Not to interrupt you too much, Rune, but Ayrton.
Yeah.
The Flash's name is not Grant Gustin. It's John Wesley Shipp.
Okay.
If you don't get this fucking right, I'm gonna have to take you out back.
Now, hold up. We still have to get through this. So.
Oh God, really?
Man, you
sound like my. I can just kick Larry, guys.
You sound like my high school gym teacher, Larry. We just need to get through this.
We just got to get through this. We're almost to
Mr. White, I don't want to
sound like a Catholic priest at mass. We just have to get through this.
But Mr. White, I don't want to make meth.
I mean,
you sound like a
we're
rabbi
talk-
doing my third circumcision.
we're talking about Ezra Miller. Not doing meth isn't on the table. Ezra's done all the meth for us already.
You know how many shots I've taken since you started talking about the flag?
Can I have Ayrton's botched circumcision instead?
I said third, not botched.
So
they all went
so
fine.
the Let's Get Nuts line is Michael Keaton Batman helping Ezra 1 get his powers back, which he doesn't. But Ezra 1 finds out that Ezra 2 was created because Ezra 1 tried to save his mom.
Ezra
so
1,
Ezra
2, Ezra 1, Ezra 2. Ezra
So
1?
Ezra 2 is now even more stupidly believing that he can save everybody and that there's no trade-off between, different value judgments than Ezra 1. So we've taken our original Barry Allen Ezra Miller and made him dumber, folks. That's what the movie did.
Going back through this movie, I feel like I'm in an MK Ultra mind control program, and I'm about to assassinate a sitting president in the next 12 hours. Jesus Christ!
So we get ready for our dumb superhero battle. Ezra 2 converts an old Batman suit into a Flash suit. We actually get something interesting where Barry says, well, hey, this isn't a terrible idea, but here's the problems you're going to have with this suit, and here's how you're going to have to fix it. And then Barry number 2 figures out how to develop a new superpower out of it, and they try to defeat Zod, and they fail. And they try to defeat Zod, and they fail again.
Look, anyone who needs to know why we're doing this, it's literally Professor Zoom is making this happen. Okay.
No, they actually originally
the anti-Semitic venom.
At some point,
they originally wanted to make Ezra 2 into Professor Zoom, but after the Ezra Miller crime spree, the studio decided that would be too on the nose.
I'm just saying, Church is gonna reel off to bed drunk and with a headache. And be like, how did my life get this way? And Professor Zoom is going to lean out the closet and go, it was me, Church. It was me.
Did Rune just sneeze burst on me?
He did. I'm proud of you, Rune. I'm proud of you for doing
Rune right now.
And then the two Barrys keep going back in time. Barry number 1 realizes that it's not, good. Then the other Barry immediately develops a situation where he creates a bootstrap paradox. So, we have multiple paradoxes going on, and we start to see the worlds collide, and that's where we get the dumb CGI tie-ins. We get to see poor dead Christopher Reeves, poor dead George Reeves. I mean, the lady from the old Supergirl movie, she was already getting good residuals off the TV shows. I hope she got paid well for this. They made
we did get to see Nick Cage as Superman
fighting the giant spider. So whatever producer it was who originally came up with that cocaine-fueled idea also got paid if he's still alive.
Nick Cage came up with that cocaine-fueled nightmare. What do you?
Oh no! The spider was proposed before they even hired Nick Cage.
Holy shit! Larry, that's a brilliant idea. If they did have Professor Zoom, if they were serious, I want Nick Cage to be Professor Zoom. Can you imagine how fucking amazing that would be?
It'd be pretty good.
It would be so good.
And we also see
Barry. I took your face.
It was all me, Barry. It's all me.
We also see Jay Garrick in this movie for some reason, with George Reeves as Superman.
Yeah, that was weird.
Was he played by John Wesley Shipp?
He was not. And they also didn't feature John Wesley Shipp's Flash in here with Nicolas Cage's Superman, which they really should have. Would have made sense.
Yeah.
And then...
That was the Justice League we deserved, Larry. Not the one we needed, but the one we deserved.
Then Barry Allen number 1.
Batman.
Then Barry Allen number 1 realizes, wait, I need to go back in time to stop me from altering time, and that'll fix everything. And he has a moment.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I got to do the thing that I'm not supposed to do to go back in time and tell myself not to do the thing that I'm doing.
No. He goes immediately after he finishes the first time travel trip to do the second one to fix everything, creating another temporal paradox, by the way.
Which
Because he would never have been in the future to stop himself if he stopped himself in the past.
Well, I'm going to get to George Clooney existing in a moment. I'm going to get to that. He hugs his mom, and then he says, well, wait a minute. I can save my dad. I can make him look up at this camera, which was set up as a plot thread in the beginning of the movie, so that he has an alibi for the murder of my mom. And that works at trial. Ezra Miller meets
exist.
Yeah, Ezra Miller meets Iris West, and they agree to start dating. And
played by Zendaya, I'm assuming.
Not Zendaya. It is someone who's Zendaya like. And then Bruce Wayne shows up to congratulate him. And the Batman that shows up is George Clooney because timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff.
So
that was the end of the
George
movie.
Clooney's the new DCEU Batman.
No.
Yes.
Wait.
No.
What?
Because they basically said no.
Damn it.
They said that they said that time is a bowl of spaghetti, and that there's certain key points in the spaghetti that matter, but the spaghetti will just squiggle around it.
I know what'll satisfy me. If we get Nick Cage to do a race swap remake of Blank Man.
I mean,
thought you were going to say Blade.
Hold up, isn't that just Dark Man?
No. I want to be clear because you've actually misenunciated, Church. It's Blanc Man.
What now?
It's Blanc Man.
No, it's Blank Man.
No, Blanc Man.
Rune's secretly French, guys. He's not allowed on the show anymore.
And this movie is bad. This movie's bad because it.
Damn it! for just a moment, I thought I was out. I thought Church punted me. I'm free, and then you brought me back, you son of a bitch. And now I have to be here. Listen to Larry talk about the Flash.
I'm out of here. It's relapse time.
But it's a bad movie because we get introduced to an unlikable character 3 times. We get introduced to a character that could have been likable if the movie was going to go somewhere. And that's like easily 40 to 50% of the movie.
Okay.
We have like a good 10% of the movie dedicated to, hey, let's get all the people who still have contractual obligations under the Snyder thing. One last appearance, so they're all out.
You put way too much thought in this compared to what I did watching this movie.
Yeah, no. These are all the thoughts I had watching the movie.
You're leaving out all the times you wanted to put a gun in your mouth.
I mean, I did do it at least 4 times.
Are you positing, Church, that instead of actual suicide, Larry has just decided on a path of revenge porn?
And the people who actually study studio accounting have determined that the Flash movie would have lost less money if they just put it on a shelf somewhere and let it die.
We actually, by accepting money for this, we've lost money.
Yeah. So speaking of money. Yeah, speaking of money, here I have this last video.
Before you play this last video, I have a huge money saving tip for everyone. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard about it. I found a magical place when I was younger. I don't know if everybody. No, I don't know if everybody has one of these. There's only 2 in the lovely state of Arkansas. But this magical place is called Bojangles.
We used to have one of those around here.
Bojangles has a very special item on their menu. It is a restaurant. It is a southern restaurant. Their sweet tea is basically sugar water with a little brown coloring in it.
And there's an alcoholic version of it.
There is. I haven't had that yet, but I
haven't tried it either. I'm afraid to get alcohol poisoning and diabetes at the same time, so I've avoided it.
So I don't know if you guys have heard, but they have a spicy chicken sandwich there.
Oh,
They call it a Cajun chicken sandwich, I believe.
okay.
And this is the best hot chicken I've ever eaten in my life.
Well, looks like I'm going to the next town over where the closest Bojangles is.
I have found this chicken in the wild, ladies and gentlemen. I buy
You have
bags.
wild chickens in Arkansas?
No. I found a meat place that has bags of this Cajun seasoned, pre-breaded, uncooked fried chicken.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I have an air fryer, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, talk dirty to me.
So I went to the store and I bought some frozen buttermilk biscuits that are not as good as Bojangles unless you take your barbecue sauce brush and you melt some butter. And as those biscuits come out of the oven, that you take that brush and you brush butter over the top of those biscuits. And then it's just as good as Bojangles biscuit.
Okay.
So you cut this biscuit that you've delicately brushed butter onto while it's still hot in half, and you put one of these air fried Cajun chicken patties onto the frozen buttered buttermilk biscuit. And with as many of these things as I was eating a day after I discovered Bojangles, I'm saving $822 a week making them at home.
Hell yeah. And that is the perfect segue to this. I found a video of Church cooking for the first time when he first moved into his own apartment. When he moved out of
it
his,
was pumpkin bread. I was making pumpkin bread because it was Halloween, and that was most of the food we had in the house.
Sorry, I got one spoon. Sorry? Wooden spoon. A wooden spoon for stirring this up.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's good. Wooden spoon! No, it looks like a wood. Mine is coming to help. Wooden spoon!
Oh, what?
No spoon, look at a wood.
Ah! It is!
Ah, look.
Ah!
Someone found
Yeah! See?
It's not metal spoon. Wood spoon. This.
Ah,
hey, thank you. Hey. Well done.
That's pretty wholesome. That's a wholesome cooking show.
I watched that. I
I'm
watched
glad he
that
found the
12
wooden spoon.
times when I first found that. Just
The fact that he found the
laughing my
wooden
ass off.
spoon makes me happy. I can
But I have to
sleep
ask,
well
Church,
tonight.
after you made the pumpkin thing, did you wash it?
No. So here's the thing. We were. I was 19. I was living in my friend's garage because he had a 3-bedroom house and 3 roommates, and they still couldn't pay bills. So he said, if you pay me like $300 a month, you can come stay in my garage. We'll weatherproof it and everything. I'm like, sure, whatever. So for 6 months, I lived in this guy's garage. And I smoked the most weed and drank the most beer I have ever drank in my life in those 6 months. And then I proceeded to drink even more and smoke even more when I moved into the actual house when a roommate moved out. But we were staying there, and we had been living on frozen pizza or delivery pizza and beer for 5 months at this point. It's almost,
as one does when you're 19.
So we had no money because of some shit happened. I think we spent too much of it on pot, and we were to the point of calling the delivery place. We were to the point of trying to call the delivery place and seeing if the guy would take payment in weed. And I was like, "There's got to be something I can make to get us through till tomorrow when we get paid." So I went to one of these websites that existed 15 years ago, and I put in all the ingredients we had in the house, which was like the bare necessities to make a cookie. It's like sugar, flour, and eggs. And I had a pumpkin. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to put the pumpkin in here too. Maybe it'll tell me how to make pasta out of pumpkin. So what it actually ended up doing was telling me that I could make homemade pasta. I could make, I think we had some like Parmesan cheese and some spices. So I made a pasta sauce. and we had a pumpkin, so it showed me I could make pumpkin bread. And I was like, so I can make dinner and dessert? So I cut the pumpkin into a jack-o'-lantern, and I shaved out all the extra meat inside the pumpkin. And I threw it into a blender and pureed it with a little bit of water. And I made fresh pureed pumpkin bread, and now I do it every year to remember how poor I once was, and that it could always fucking be worse.
Did you find the wooden spoon though?
We actually had no cooking utensils. I had to go down the street and spend like $3 or $4 on like a metal disposable pan.
Oh, hey, Church, I have a great way to end the show.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a quick review of a movie that's positive. I'm going to say good things about. So,
Larry,
Chris
I don't
Hemsworth.
really want to know what kind of porno you've been watching this week.
No, it's not porn. Not porn. So, Chris Hemsworth did a sequel to his successful Netflix movie, Extraction.
Okay.
Where he plays an action hero in the 80s and 90s mold who, after recovering from his injuries, is called in to do a secret mission, secretly funded by his ex-wife, to recover her sister, who's trapped in a Georgian prison with her children. And he does so, but a gang of Georgian thugs chases him all the way to Austria. They fight, cars blow up, he reconciles with his ex-wife, he saves the kid, which helps him resolve his guilt over the death of his kid. Excellent movie.
Right.
So,
well, good night, everybody.
Can review positive things.
I'm just saying when it's time.
I mean, I'm more interested in Liam Neeson's new film where.
I thought I was supposed to say it right then. My bad.
No.
If his car stops driving, his family explodes.
Isn't that Die Hard?
We're not done with the show, Larry. Continue on what you were saying.
I mean, that's the basics of the movie. It's not a complicated movie. It's a simple movie. It knows what it's here to do, and it does it.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I was busy typing that message and missed your entire review. I need you to do it again.
Okay. So, ending of the first movie, Chris Hemsworth gets blown the F up, and he's drifting in a river in India, which, if this were real, you'd be dead just from drifting in the river in India.
Okay.
But luckily, this isn't real. He gets recovered. He gets healed up. He's now a retired operative, but he's told by someone, "Hey, if there's a reason for you to recover, and you'll get back in the game." His ex-wife hires him to rescue her sister, who's trapped with her sister's husband and their children in a Georgian prison.
Okay.
Because his brother's part of a Georgian criminal enterprise,
And that's what happens when you go to Georgia.
Yeah, not Georgia in the U.S., but Georgia in the former Soviet Union.
No, Atlanta, not Georgia in the U.S. Atlanta.
Yeah. And Chris Hemsworth has to break into the prison. Things go wrong. Gunfights, explosions, car chases. People get beat up. People bleed out. People talk about loyalty and family.
So it's a Fast and the Furious prequel?
It's like the Fast and the Furious movies if they were made by somebody who actually cared about making them less stupid.
You guys remember in the 90s when people made movies that they wanted to make and they were actually good?
Yeah,
No.
this is exactly like that.
No, the MK Ultra programming from having to relive the Flash through Larry's review has made me forget everything that happened before 2012.
Well, that's because Barry ruined the time stream.
He did.
Turning into a bowl of spaghetti.
You were actually on track to be the CEO of a major tobacco corporation, Eric.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. I don't want to be in court.
Yeah, I'm gonna come out of left field. I'm gonna say
FDA every other week.
I'm gonna say Zack Snyder ruined movie making.
Well, no, he didn't ruin the movie making. He made the movie they told him to make.
No. I just want to throw out there that it was Snyder's watch that had Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor juggling a giant bowl of piss, which empowered people to have the Flash talking about a bowl of spaghetti. This is what the metaphor has become.
Batman talked about the bowl of spaghetti.
Well, here's the thing. You guys are all thinking too small.
Okay.
The ruination of the movie business came from Eddie Murphy.
Okay. I'm with
Because
you.
Eddie
Carry on.
Murphy created what were two of the most popular Hollywood remakes of all time. Dr. Dolittle and The Nutty Professor. He was the main actor in both of those movies, a head producer, and it was his idea to recreate some of his parents' favorite movies that got those movies greenlit. Now, that led Hollywood down a path of creative bankruptcy that it never ever recovered from. And we are currently in the Great Depression of creative bankruptcy in Hollywood.
So what you're saying is we kill Eddie Murphy.
So Eddie
No,
Murphy is
no.
the Paris Island for the movie industry. Is that?
No, what I'm saying is Eddie Murphy is the reason that the Flash sucked.
I can dig it.
Wait a minute. You're saying Eddie Murphy is Professor Zoom?
He is. And if I don't see Eddie Murphy in the Professor Zoom costume in the next DCEU installation of the Flash, I swear to God, I'll riot.
Larry, it looks like we found
Eddie
your
Murphy
next.
in the Pluto Nash remake.
Your next AI prompt, yes. Eddie Murphy in a
Larry's-
Flash suit. I need to see it.
All right.
I think that's a great place to end the show.
Yeah, I was going to say on that note, I have to pee. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Ayrton.